Hello, welcome back to Otter Pop Culture. Today we're going over Australian's rapper Illy and his sixth album called The Space Between. Yeah. So I was pretty much a fan of him pretty much when he started. I had to go into a long story short in 2009, but I got into it officially with his second album, The Chase, that came out in 2010, and went backwards, then went forward. Yeah, I really, really like the sound. I love his way of kind of like how he was honestly the piece that kind of got me into like storytelling of like rap. So I feel like he does that a lot. And there's always some type of like lesson he always puts on certain things I really like. My biggest favorite album from him though has to be Cinematic. That came out in 2013. So, and there was a huge gap between that time before he came out with Two Degrees in 2016. And I did kind of like that one, but I wasn't doing any YouTube stuff before then, during that time until like 2018. So in that gap, I pretty much had to wait until he came out with this one, but he was releasing stuff between that time. He also had this weird thing where he was like the singles on Spotify that were on for Bring It Back, Cinematic, The Chase, and Long Story Short was like disappeared. It started off from the Swear Jar, which is it was kind of like a throwaway, like silly kind of single. It started off from there, so then it made me think like, oh god, people are gonna think that that's his first single, which was not true. But anyway, so this album we're now coming into this album, and I think I think that one thing for sure is that his rapping skills has not stopped. He's still is being consistent throughout this whole thing, and he still is telling stories. He has this weird kind of vulnerability in this one that's way more vulnerable than the other albums, and I really, really like it. I love the fact that he talks about his mental health and the idea of realizing just like, okay, I've been in this kind of like industry for a while, and over time I realized I don't feel like I fit into this fancy parties and everything. It doesn't really satisfy me fully more than going home to my friends in Melbourne and going to hanging out with my family and being in, like, as he says in the cheap one of his songs on this called Cheap Seats with WAAX. He doesn't really need all that. He loves being in the cheap seats, and that's where all the fun is really at. And I agree. I completely agree. I still sit back and wonder, as like, if I were to be like super famous, would I have to go to those parties, or could I just keep it with my crew? You know, it was just the people around me, you know? So I really love that he talks about that, and it definitely lets me know that he, even after all of this, he continues to live in a very humble and, not low-key, what's the word I'm looking for? More into a humble and, low-key, I guess. I don't know. I'll use that word for now, because there's another word that I'm thinking of. Type of life where he doesn't really lean into that kind of fancy, like, brag about your shit and everything. And I really love that. Some of my favorite songs off this album is, Codes. I really love Codes. I really think it's nice. It's about him, what I think it's about is, the support that his, girlfriend is giving him, pretty much. He says, he's like, it feels like I got 1,000 lives. Her cheat codes got me hypnotized. Every night I die, then she brings me back to life. And I love the little game references that he says inside of it too. And I love the idea that it's another piece of it, which is like, I go to these places, these awards, and all these things are great and everything, but I love coming back to normal people, you know, and I love that idea. Mira is another one I like with, I don't think I've ever pronounced his name before, but Wrabel. He is, great singer, by the way. This song's pretty much talking about the idea that, this ex doesn't know what she's looking for. She seems to kind of bounce between calling him up and like, I'm thinking about you, and at the same time having, like, they're still kind of broken up in a way. As he says, I've been living with your ghost, and then I get a text saying that you thought of me. And it's one of those things, just like, it's confusing him, and he's like, I know, you're trying to find who you are, but I think what he's trying to say too is like, just do it then, like, find who you are, stop kind of doing this back and forth thing, you know? I, myself, and me is another one I really like. It's pretty much talking about his insecurities and his doubts and everything, and being in his head all the time. I really, really love that. One of the parts he says is that insecurities and doubts, the like keys to the house, because I don't leave without them. And it's pretty much talking about how he's always in his head, and he's his biggest critic, and he's trying to kind of push himself away from it, but it just happens. So yeah, and I feel like it's really, really nice. I love that type of like vulnerability. And another shout out to the other song I really like, or a couple other songs I really like too. So, is Race to the Bottom, which is I felt like that was about depression. He says in this quote, so we're like breaking out I can't talk today, but so we're like breaking out the drinks. We party till the voices in my head don't say a thing. They just wait until no one's around. And that's completely true. I feel like for myself too, that it's like, you feel great when you're around other people sometimes, and you think as you're drinking and getting intoxicated, it kind of goes away, all the thoughts go away from you. But then when you're by yourself, it just starts peaking up again, because you're by yourself. You're not distracted by anything else. And then Lonely is a really beautiful song, and I love that of all places he gave the features that he gave it to Guy Sebastian, because he also has that same thing with the choir. And when it talks about like loving who the people around you, because you never know when they're going to be gone, and don't leave them lonely if they won't leave you lonely, kind of thing. And pretty much talking about indirectly about the 2020 like coronavirus and everything. And one of the things he says is like, last year was a tough year, was a tough one. Watch mom say goodbye to her mom, and it was just like, oh wow, that's pretty intense, And I love that Guy came in and really sang his part, and it's so beautiful. And then Best Mistakes is a really, really nice song. I do get a little weird with the whole idea. It's like, it's easy, that's why I like to drink, because it helped me kind of like be more honest. It helps me think, kind of thing, and it just gives me very alcoholic directions. But I also want to give it to him because at the same time, it's another flip side to that direction, because it is true when he says, that's why we're only honest with each other when we're high. It's so true. I say way more theoretical things and more things that like are very thought provoking when I'm not sober, when I'm smoking, pretty much. And it's very interesting in seeing it that way. But I also feel like you can also do that outside of it as well. And I think it's kind of just talking about like some of our best mistakes happens in that times. And kind of just memories are still waiting to be made. Let's just make our best mistakes. And it kind of reminds me of kind of like a stumbling party kind of sound I really like. But yeah, I don't think this is my favorite album. I feel like it definitely, I personally think it's, if I had to choose between this one and 2 Degrees, God, I would say this one for the vulnerability. I love what he's saying. And then 2 Degrees, I feel like there's some songs I really, really like that really pulled me in, like Catch-22? Yeah, I think it's Catch-22 is what the song's called. Yeah, I really love that song, but I felt like this one had more heft to it, and I'm really glad that he's still doing his thing and everything. I give this album I give it a 7 out of 10, because there were some pieces where the lyrics kind of just fell flat. Like Last Laugh was kind of just wasn't really feeling that one. What was another one? I felt like And Then What? I understood the idea of what he's saying, but I felt like he wasn't really saying too much either. So those two didn't really make me feel like it just didn't really feel right. But yeah, anyways, leave a comment below, tell me what you thought. If you liked it, let me know. If you didn't like it, let me know. And hit the like button if you like this video. Don't forget to subscribe. And also, if you want to see more of my videos, hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.